Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Corps' temporary studio. Welcome to the show. So, week 2 of spoiler season has started, and it's starting off with an absolutely crazy one with Phyrexian Exemplar. And a first up, big thank you to MTG Goldfish for the translated version of this card. It is a 5/5 Phyrexian horror that has flying that cost, wait for it, white, 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 white. That's right. A lot of pips in there, but it is going to be well worth it for this 5/5 flyer that also says, if damage would be dealt to Phyrexian Exemplar, prevent that damage. When damage is prevented this way, Phyrexian Exemplar deals that much damage to any other target. So, obviously, this is a callback to another very famous Magic card that we'll talk about here in a bit. Built very similarly, but yeah, a 5/5 flyer for 4 mana is already above the curve. And of course, on top of that, yeah, you know what? This is going to be really hard to take out. I mean, sure. I mean, any kind of a destroy effect, sure. Any kind of a, exile effect, yes. Any kind of a bounce effect, sure. Okay, I guess there's plenty of ways to take care of it. But when it comes to, taking care of it in combat or with, damage-based removal, yeah, this is going to be an absolute monster. Good luck blocking this, because when you do, well, whatever's blocking it is probably already taken out. If it's not, you can just take it out with the extra damage. But yeah, you're going to be taking out probably at least 1 creature, potentially even 2 creatures, or just, pinging someone to the face. And of course, again, with those damage-based board wipes, let's say that you or, one of your opponents happens to play a Blasphemous Act, or something along those lines. Yeah, 13 damage to this. That damage is going to be prevented. This is going to be fine. But that 13 damage has to go somewhere, right? So yeah, maybe your friend's face, maybe their best creature. Yeah, this can do a lot of work for you. Now, with that incredibly restrictive casting cost of 4 pips, yeah, there are only going to be so many kinds of decks out there that can run this because, well, even though it does only cost 4 mana, I mean, it can take you a long, long time to try to get that amount of mana, depending on how many colors you have in your deck, or that, exact kind of mana, I should say. But yeah, a 5/5 flyer that can prevent damage to itself and basically, dish out that damage elsewhere. This can do a lot of work for you. This has a lot of potential. It's a very scary card, one that I definitely don't want to see on the other side of the table. But yeah, before we go and talk about, potential commanders that might want to utilize this fantastic brand new card, let's talk about really quick where this card probably came from. And of course, the inspiration, well, most definitely came from Phyrexian Obliterator. I mean, and now that we've seen a second one of these, I'm not anticipating, an actual cycle around this right now. I mean, would a cycle ever be completed in the future? Maybe we'd see one of each color, but yeah, I didn't expect to see even, Phyrexian Exemplar or anything like it. So here we are. But yeah, Phyrexian Obliterator, 5/5. So again, same, power and toughness. This one has trample, not flying. So it still just has 1 keyword. It also costs black, black, black. So yeah, I mean, basically what, 4 of a certain kind of a mana versus, the new one is for white. And whenever a source deals combination for Phyrexian Obliterator, that source controller sacrifices that many permanents. So again, a way to essentially say, hey, yeah, you can deal damage to this, but it's not going to go like you planned, because this one's going to force that player to sacrifice a ton. So this one, I personally would say, is probably more brutal. I mean, our new one is probably a little harder to deal with. And also can do a lot of work for you. This one, though, I mean, can be pretty game-ending if a player happens to accidentally, or maybe you force it, them having to, deal damage to this is going to be pretty detrimental to them. Now, some other kinds of cards that somewhat might have inspired this brand new card, and ones that definitely came to my mind when I first saw it. Yeah, Boros Reckoner was one of the first things I thought about. Hey, whenever it's dealt damage, deals that much damage to our creature or player. So yeah, this one, I mean, I guess can't, deal damage to planeswalkers, but very close. But yeah, I mean, basically, hey, redirecting damage. Now, this one does not prevent the damage, so it can be taken out quite easily. But again, it's still kind of, is a retribution type effect. I'm going to, hit you because you hit me. Ill-Tempered Loner is a newer card that basically does this as well. Actually, on the back side of it, it basically allows all your things to do it. Blazing Sunsteel, speaking of that, is a way you can equip this to a creature to have that creature, deal damage, basically damage dealt to it as well. So we're starting to see these effects more and more often lately. I mean, probably not as potent as this, new version, essentially, again, not just, redirecting damage, essentially, but preventing that damage first so that it survives, and also redirecting that damage. And when it comes to preventing damage, yeah, we have seen this in the past, not too often though, but I mean, Dawn Elemental is literally the exact same, as this brand new card in many ways, but also it kind of shows just the amount of power creep that has happened over the years. Dawn Elemental, back from Scourge? A long time ago, that was back when I started playing Magic. A 3/3 flying elemental for white, so exact same cost. It's also a flyer, but again, 2 power and 2 toughness, less than our brand new Phyrexian, a new Obliterator in white, essentially. Prevent all damage to be dealt to it. So yeah, it has that first part. It does not also allow you to then use that damage elsewhere. So yeah, things have come quite a long way since Scourge, and the power levels have definitely creeped up further and further and further. It's kind of scary to think about, the difference in power between then and now. And, I mean, that was 20 years ago or whatnot. And then, yeah, the difference in power between now and maybe 20 years in the future if, Magic survives that long. But yeah, how crazy things might get. Next up, Swans of Bryn Argol is another card that came right to my mind. This one utilizes that damage in a way. If a sorcerer deal damage to Swans of Bryn Argol, prevent that damage, that sorcerer's controller draws that many cards, essentially. And yeah, this one actually can benefit your opponents. It can also benefit you if you're dealing damage to it yourself. But again, a way to utilize in prevention of damage. We have seen it before. Jared Carthonian is actually a commander that does that. Damage will be dealt to Jared Carthonian while you're the Monarch. You prevent that damage, you get that many counters on it. So, whereas our brand new card redirects that damage and says, I'm going to utilize that damage in this way, Jared's like, nah, I'm just going to get more swole. So, yeah. And then hit you for harder. So, yeah, there are, definitely some examples of cards in the past that have, utilized prevention of damage in different ways. But it's a brand new way that we are seeing now, this brand new Phyrexian Exemplar. And I keep almost saying Obliterator. Exemplar. This shouldn't be too hard for me to remember, right? But I mean, I guess it's early, okay? Now, when it comes to commanders that might want to consider this card, like I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, again, with 4 white pips, it's going to be quite difficult for decks outside of, I would say, probably the most 2 color to really consider this card. Because when it comes to the amount of mana fixing that you need for it, it is quite intense. But, for a monocolor commander like Odric Lunarch Marshal, it's incredibly easy for you to, get this out consistently on turn 4 or earlier, essentially, and that can be quite deadly. And also, Odric will both utilize its keyword and also make it even deadlier. At the beginning of each combat, creature control gain first strike until on turn for creature controls first strike. Same is true for Flying, Death Touch, Double Strike, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Reach, Skulk, Trample, and Vigilance. So, yeah, our brand new Phyrexian can really benefit from, the keyword soup type creatures that can spread out, all their keywords essentially thanks to Odric. It also can help as well, again, because it does have flying, and giving your team flying can be a fantastic form of evasion to help get them through. Next up, how about God Eternal Oketra, a fantastic mono-white commander, 3/6 double strike. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you get a 4/4 black zombie war creature with vigilance. And when God Eternal Oketra dies, put in a graveyard or exile from the battlefield, you may put on top of Solar's Library through it from the top. Basically, hey, cast more and more creature spells, get more and more zombie warriors in play, flood the board, and yeah, having some pretty deadly threats like our brand new Phyrexian can be great. Or to make it even grosser, I mean, I'm definitely thinking there are going to be some, Phyrexian-focused decks moving forward with all the Phyrexians that we're getting in this set. But yeah, Elesh Norn, Grand Cenobite, an incredibly disgusting Phyrexian Praetor. Other creatures control get +2/+2. Creature opponents control get -2/-2. So again, with the Phyrexian Praetor is basically, one massive upside for you. The kind of reverse of that for your opponents, a massive downside. +2/+2, that's going to make your, 4-mana creature into a 7/7 with flying. Your opponent's creatures are going to be even smaller. And again, if your opponents try to stop your, Phyrexian Exemplar, they're going to pay the price. They're going to be taking some extra damage. So yeah, Elesh Norn can definitely consider this brand new one. And finally, yeah, okay, I guess at this point I'm just, listing some mono-white commanders because, yeah, I mean, again, when it comes to considering commanders that might want to utilize this, you really do need one that can, utilize those pips, that can actually, pay for this in a reasonable amount of time. Again, you might be having your hand turn 4 for a lot of decks out there, but yeah, if you have to wait a couple more turns to actually be able to, fix your mana to be able to get it out, it's not going to be anywhere near as impactful. So yeah, mono white decks, I'm not saying, it's definitely not an auto-include in those decks, but it's definitely a very powerful card. It's a very threatening card that you can just throw down. Even more threatening, of course, we have Avacyn in play. Flying, Vigilance, Indestructible, the permanent you control of Indestructible, making, your brand new Phyrexian Exemplar also indestructible is just gross and very scary for your opponents again, because yeah, you're not going to be able to take that out very easily at all, and it is going to be an absolute menace for you. Overall, yeah, I see a lot of players out there being really excited about this one, the potential of it. Again, 4 mana, 5/5 flyer, hard to deal damage to. I mean, not hard to deal, impossible to deal damage to, right? You prevent that damage, you dish it out elsewhere, and yeah, this can just be an absolute monster on the field. It is something that your opponents have to respect and are going to have to, well, try to take out in a lot of various ways other than actually, in combat or with any damage spells. So yeah, this thing can be an absolute beast, and yeah, I'm excited to see, if we see any other kind of cards like this. I would not say in this set. I don't think, we're going to get a full cycle of this in the set. Maybe in the future we get, a green one, a blue one, a red one. It's hard to say that again and again and again, but you know what I mean. But yeah, definitely a really exciting way to start off this week. And yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this brand new card. And with that, today's episode is coming to a close. I hope you enjoyed it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.